permission to delete my stuff. Great. Okay, so we are live now. First
Perfect.
time. Well, Justin Cambra story. That would be you.
Yes, sir.
Justin, you are new to the channel. Also, you created your own channel. Hopefully, this live actually works. I've never launched one from my channel before. I've always done it with Mark, the financial firefighter. So, Justin, if you can give a intro to who you are. This is the Justin Cambra story, financial freedom and retirement. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me on the live here on your channel. I love to see you taking massive action, learning how to do the YouTube live. I'm going to be right behind you. I just created my own channel called W2 to Freedom on YouTube, also on Instagram as well. So I'll just do a quick like high level background and then we can dive into specific parts about my story. So for me, everything started around 2016, where working a ton of hours at Amazon, was trying to figure a way how to get out of this corporate world, W-2 world, if you will. And for me, the big thing, I was just kind of Googling at the time, like, what's a way to make, I need something to make money to where I don't have to make the money. And the easiest way I saw online was real estate. And, the other thing that I saw that was, of some good hope was that there's a lot of people that made a ton of money that never graduated high school, never went to college or had an MBA or anything. So I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it, right? Because I had, you know, undergrad degree, I had a master's degree, and then, worked at some Fortune 500 companies. So that's when I first started. It was 2016, went right into a house hack. So it was a duplex in South Seattle. I lived in the top for, gosh, it ended up being 8 years. I lived in a one bedroom apartment. So, as I was at Amazon, I was making the most money I ever made, but I was living the lowest cost structure I ever made so that I'd have the money to continue to buy these properties. So that started in 2016 with the house hack, which then got me into that was the proof of concept. I'm like, man, this is amazing. I live in the top unit, the bottom's renting out. I think I was paying maybe $700 net per month to live in this place because my bottom tenant, which actually was another Amazon employee, was paying majority of all my expenses. And then after that, I went straight into I was in finance at Amazon, so then I was like, where can I find more of these properties? I couldn't really find anything in the Seattle area that would cash flow. Um, so then I started looking further out. My brother lived in Yakima, which I'm actually in Yakima today, and I bought my first like investment property in 2017, where I wasn't living in it. And that was so I bought in I think it was August 2016, and then May of 2017 is when I bought the second one. It was an 11-plex, and I didn't really even know how to do it. I just kind of worked through the agent and lenders, and figured out that hey, not all buildings are the same. 11 units considered commercial, so I had to figure out okay, so I had to get different insurance and different mortgage and all that kind of stuff, but just kind of worked my way through that.
Made you
Um,
do a jump like that? And not a lot of people just jump to 11 units.
The biggest thing is I didn't know that was a thing. So, because I was talking to the agent and they're like, "Yeah, this is commercial." I'm like, "Great. Well, how do we submit our offer?" And they're like, "Well, we have the commercial are a little bit different. We have to submit a different form, and you need a commercial loan." I'm like, "Great. Let's get a commercial loan." So I was in finance, so I knew how to run all analysis. I was like, oh, this is the first one I saw that made sense. I had the money, let's just go buy it. And so then we just kind of worked through each of the different steps to be able to submit the offer, get it accepted, and close on it.
So let's talk about the numbers on that. That was your second deal. That was your
Hmm.
first real investment. The first one was to lower your cost, which is a
Right.
great path to take. But your first strictly investment property, what did that actually look like?
Yeah, so it was I think I ended up getting it at 285. This is in Yakima, and that's for 11 units. And at the time, so 2017, I want to say like the average rents were around 400 something. So
Wow.
it's one of these where it's a gigantic house and it literally was just chopped up into a bunch of units, right? And then the two top units actually were separate units with one shared bathroom, which I don't recommend. It's always ended up causing issues between those tenants. But so basically, I was getting a little over 4,000. I can't remember off the top of my head what the mortgage was, but from what I remember, it was roughly like close to $1,000 on that first one because back then, like the interest rate, I want to say it was 3.5 or something like that. It was like super cheap. So like 285 and I put 20% down. So the actual loan amount wasn't very big either. So I had a relatively low loan, low interest rate, and it was just a little over 4,000 from what I remember for the total rents coming in.
Great. So now you're retired. Not.
That was step one on retiring, right? So like, the core is that lower the cost, increase the income, right? That gap there, as soon as that gap equals your living expenses, that's when you can make the jump, right? And so after the Yakima one, I really didn't find anything else in Yakima. That deal actually was sitting on the market forever. It was on LoopNet. And I was like, let's just do that, right? So then I couldn't find anything in Yakima. Then I heard about a couple months later on Bigger Pockets. A young guy, probably your age, was in like LA talking about Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm like, man, I go to Milwaukee every year for a golf trip. I met some agents out there, toured some properties in August, and then I ended up buying my first out-of-state duplex in October and also in December. So I bought two right away, much, much cheaper. So like a duplex, the first two duplexes I got, one was like 61 and the other was I think 65, something like that. So
Wow.
way, way cheaper.
I'd say. And how many deals do you think it took? So at that point, you bought your house hack. Were you still living there when you bought those other
Yeah.
deals? Okay.
Yep.
So you bought your house hack, you were living there. You bought an 11 unit, which is
Yep.
really just a monster house, but bringing a
Literally a
lot of
monster
income.
house. Hmm.
Yeah. Then you bought another 4 units out of state. So you were pretty scattered because for those who don't know, Yakima is probably 3 hours from Seattle.
Right.
So you're all over the place. How many more deals does it take for someone listening to get to that freedom number? And how long did it take from start to finish? Because it's been probably 9, 10 years almost. You're going on year 10 probably this year since you
Yeah,
got
I
your first
mean,
deal.
exactly. I'm almost at year 10, a couple months away. So for me, it took 6 years and I was just like heads down for 6 years. And like all I focused on was how do I acquire mass amount of real estate? And really like I wasn't even necessarily tracking like the cash flow or anything. I was just like buy, 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 buy as much as possible. And it might correlate to you because I know your first couple years you went super huge, right? So I was the same way, solo for most of it until towards the end. So, it was probably I didn't get a partnership until I think the 20th property. And, for me, I didn't leave the corporate world until 2022. So that was 6 years into it. And for me, wasn't even really the cash flow number per se. It was more the fact that when I got to that, at that point at 2022, it was 45 properties, 145 rental units, and it was roughly about $100 a door. Some were high, like positive, some were break even. I had some alligators in there, right?
Yeah.
But on average, around $100 a door. So, but excluding that, what was happening on the side is one, I got my real estate license. Two, I started doing wholesaling. And then three, I started doing some flips. So 6 months into 2022, at Amazon, I made 100,000 between a wholesale deal and a flip, I made 100,000. And I'm like, man, if I'm doing 80% at Amazon or more of my time, why don't I spend 100% over here, do the wholesaling, do the fix and flip, have the portfolio, just getting my agent license. I'm like, literally the sky's the limit over here. I just need to shift all the time and attention. And that was really kind of my seminal moment of like, okay, let's go. Because like I was still living in that one bedroom apartment. And my cost structure was 700-ish bucks a month for me to live, in terms of just the rent portion. So that was really, it was September of 2022, was when I left. I mean, I actually tried to leave in June of 2022, but I had a in Yakima was doing a I had a wraparound mortgage fix. Well, I was trying to do a burr that just
Mhm.
dragged on, and I needed my W-2 to get a takeout commercial loan. So
Uh,
it took me 3 months extra to get that project done. So instead of June, because my birthday's in June, I was trying to retire by then. I ended up retiring in the September of 2022.
oh, you made it happen. And so, how's life been since then? What changed?
Life has been fantastic since then, and the the biggest thing for me is obviously the time freedom, and that was what I wanted. Is like, um, I wanted to travel, but I wanted the time freedom to do what I want with the people I want when I want, right? So, the first like I'd say 90 days, I really did. I traveled a ton the first 90 days. Went to the World Cup in Qatar, went to Alaska, went to Iceland, Mexico, I think. There's like a boom, 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 all these back-to-back trips. What you quickly realize is like, you have a lot of friends that are at work. So not all your friends are there to hang out with, right? So I ended up building up my agent business towards the end of 2022. And so I keep that economic driver so I can continue to acquire properties. And that's my work life is like I kind of just live a life by design where I'm managing the properties, building up the agent business all at the same time. So, for example, like next week, I'm going on a cruise, but I can take my laptop with me. We have deals closing on the agent side. I recently bought a property, and so I'm in the onboarding of that. I recently sold one, so I have to offboard like the HOA docs, and but I can do this anywhere in the world, and I'm traveling. Like last year was a record. I did 151 days of travel, and this year I have like 117 planned. So I'm able to do like travel around the world and still, actually growing the business where I actually make more than I ever did at Amazon with less time. So that's really when the time freedom comes into play.
So, what now? Because you have the time freedom, you travel half the year, just
Hmm.
about.
Right.
What now? I've heard you jumped into some parking lot rentals, or you're renting out your parking lot. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. Do you want to talk about that? Are you going to keep doing that?
I love that. It's actually the easiest money I make because like cars don't talk to you. They're not problems, right? Tenants can make you money, but then they can cause you problems, right? So I have this on that original house hack. I moved out of it and now I have actually my largest parking lot customer uses my old unit, the one bedroom, as their Seattle office. And so that Seattle office, they pay me 1750. I moved an hour north in a two-bedroom apartment for 1400. So I'm arbitraging there. And then on the parking lot, they rent 8 stalls for me, and that's at $1,000 for the 8 stalls. And then I have through an app called Neighbor and an app called Pure Storage. I think right now it's actually kind of shrunk down a little bit, but I would say just over 2,000 a month is coming in from parking. At the peak, it was almost 3,500 for parking. I would say average is around almost 3,000 a month on the parking. And like I said, it's the easiest thing. I literally just they come through the app and then they say, "Hey, I want to park here," and I'm like, "Perfect." I tell them where to park on the lot. They literally park there. The app tracks it all. If you have Airbnb, it's almost the same thing. The money comes in, I don't have to track the money. They leave, they cancel it, and then the spot opens, I refill it. It's like the easiest thing ever.
Free money. You just had to set it
Exactly.
up at the beginning.
Oh man. And where I live at is it's 2/3 of an acre. Oh, I don't live there anymore. But that property is 2/3 of an acre. And it's all paved because the paved part was used to be the parking for the neighbor 12-plex. way back when the owner of the property I bought built the 12-plex and then he split the lot. So I have the original duplex with all the parking. So all that parking was there and I did nothing with it. And literally it was just huge. I mean, I had sticker bushes for days. And what I ended up doing, and this is where like most of my story is like, I didn't spend a bunch of money and try to figure it all out at the beginning. I literally had one stall, and that one stall was making $150 a month. I would then take that money and I'd pay the landscaper, and they'd come out and then do like a couple hours. And then more stalls would come in, I'd make more money, and I'd do a couple hours, a couple hours, a couple hours. Fast forward after a year, the whole lot was cleared, which took, gosh, it was probably at least $5,000 to clear all these sticker bushes out because it was probably 15-ish thousand square feet of, some more like huge sticker bushes, some were kind of sparse, but over time, the business paid for the landscaper to cut it down and expand that lot to where now I have a landscaper come out, I think about 6 times a year at basically $100 pop. So $600 a year keeps that clear from weeds and sticker bushes and trims back the trees and all that.
Yeah, that's low maintenance income right there.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you think that's going to continue into the future, or do you see anything changing where that might be more in demand or less in demand?
I think if anything, it'll be more in demand because what's that property is right next to the airport. So the airport, obviously they have parking. There's not enough parking at the airport. So then there's all these like remote airport parking spots. So those airport parking spots, I drive by them a lot and I'm seeing that those are full too, right? So as those become full, I'm the next best alternative, unless somebody builds like a massive parking lot next to me. But the monthly charge at 150 is prorated per day, so 30 days a month on average. So that's only $5 a day. So I've done the math. If you park for 5 days at my lot, that's only $25 and you take an Uber or a Lyft to and from. That's $20 each way. Call it 25. So that's $50 between there and back and the 25. So that's $75, right? A lot of these airport parking are $15 a day. So at $5 a day with the to and from, it's still cheaper than if you did an offsite parking at $15 a day. The 5 days is the break even. So if you're at 6 days or more, you're saving money with me. If you're at 2 weeks, you're starting to really save a lot of money relative to these other parking lots. So price wise, I'm a great alternative.
Yeah, and I just spent $158 to park my car at the airport. It was like 4 days, 5 days, so something like that. So
Exactly.
yeah, that is cheaper. That's a good solution for someone.
Hmm.
Moving into the future now, do you think you're gonna buy more apartments? Are you gonna buy some single family duplexes? Are you just gonna pay stuff off? You're gonna sell everything? Like what's next?
My initial goal right now is I have a couple that are on lease options. So I'm looking more, my financial goals is to give my fiance the option to retire by the end of the year. So I'm like hustle mode, trying to build up the agent business and more assets to where she can get out of if she wants to. She wants to work till 58. So if she wants to work to 58, great, because it's better for her like financial retirement stuff. But I want the option for her to retire. So I have to build more active income on the agent side and then more on the asset side. And the other thing, so there's that. And then the other thing I'm trying to do is how do I pay the lowest amount of taxes as possible? So this year I want to buy because bonus depreciation is back for 2026, full 100%. So I'm going to get onto that property purchase system where, I'm going to try to buy, rough numbers. Let's just say it's $1 million. I believe from what I've read online and stuff around 25% of that value could be used to write off. So let's just say it's $1 million. If it's 25%, that's $250 of depreciation that I could write off on my income so that, between, her and myself, we're getting married at the end of the year. So we'll file jointly, right? So then we can use that tax benefit to offset her existing W-2 taxes to help lower our total cost structure or use more that money to buy more assets to keep stacking up this portfolio. But most of what I'm buying right now is just single family. In a perfect world, single family that has a dadu lot, meaning a detached accessory dwelling unit, so I can add value later. That's my target focus right now.
Sweet. Well, I know you got a call coming up shortly, so we will wrap up for today. But for those who are seeing you and hearing you for the first time, I put it in the live chat. I actually pinned your YouTube page. So
Awesome.
it
Thank
would
you
be
so much.
great if everybody could subscribe. How many subscribers are you at right now?
I want to say it's like 30, but I should double check that.
30
But
is
it's
better than 20.
exactly right. Let's see if I can look it up while I'm here. View your channel. Well, I must have got two more. I'm at 32. So,
There you
it's one of
go.
these things that just it's slow and then it increases at increasing rate. I know that Mark took him like a little over a year, I believe, to get to that 1,000 mark, and he's really picking up, and then I'm sure you're going to take off as well.
Someday we'll see. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'll let you get to it. But again, everybody check out Justin's channel. Our plan is to do this once a week on Wednesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific. So we will see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Also, since this is our first time doing this, I have absolutely no idea how to stop the live.
Might be able to
I
close